Hello. So we are on the floor today, and I'm going through my eyeshadow drawer. I used to have a nice big, like giant drawer, probably like 6 times the size of this for all my makeup and eyeshadow and other stuff, as well as like at different levels where uh, I could put a lot more. And I've since had to move into a different room in my house because we had my little sister come and live with us. And so I've been struggling to pare things down to the space that I have. I have storage space for stuff as well, but this is what I have immediately available to me whenever I'm actually doing my makeup. So I I want to do a better job at curating this because right now, like you can see, everything's stacked on top of one another, and when I pull this out, it's like really hard to find the thing that I want, and I get a little bit overwhelmed. And if I want to get to my Natasha Denona palette, I have to take these two out, and it's just a little too wild. So I'm going to go through this and organize this a little bit, probably pull some things out, maybe put some new things in. And I thought that I would talk through this in case that's interesting for you. So let's go ahead and start organizing this. And I'll probably give little mini reviews of things along the way too, because there's a lot in here that I haven't reviewed yet. Oh, and by the way, sorry if there's a lot of background noise. There's like someone mowing the lawn outside, and our vacuum is vacuuming. So sorry about that. I'll try to edit that out. All right, so I'm just gonna start pulling stuff out and we can go from there. So, and I don't know if I'm gonna have enough room on screen, but what I'm gonna try to do is put things into piles of I wanna keep in this box, things that maybe I'm a little bit undecided on, and then like things that I want to take out of this box 100%. So we can start here with this. So this is a Natasha Denona large 5 pan, and it basically only has 2 Natasha Denona shadows in it now. These 3 are from Clionadh. So I did finally try Clionadh, and they're pretty good. I like them. I don't think that they're necessarily dupes for Pat McGrath or replacements for Pat McGrath special shades, but they are very pretty as their own thing. And by the way, thank you to the person who was like, you probably won't like the are these series 2 or 3, whatever the really glittery ones are, you were like, you probably won't like that. I did get one anyway, but I thought about just getting the whole set of them before you had said that, so you saved me. I did want to try it out just to see, but you are right, this is kind of chunky. It's still very pretty, but it's not my kind of glitter. These 2 are, though. I think this one is, oh, this one's a really popular one. What is it called? I think it's Myrrh is what it's called. And then this one, I totally forget what it's called, but it's really pretty. But yeah, this one I'm definitely keeping. That one's a great one. So I'm going to try to keep, and let's see if I can pull this forward. Okay, so this is going to be keep pile. All right, so Pat McGrath. So this is like the one palette I have from Pat McGrath that isn't in her Mthrshp packaging, and there is a very distinctive difference to the formula, by which I mean it's not that great. I do like this color story a lot, and all the things in here are still very easy to use, but they're not very special formulas. So this is a maybe. I'm not like super excited about the formulas in here, but I like the color story a good bit, and it's small. So we'll see. If there's space for it, I might include it, but otherwise I probably won't. All right, so this one is definitely going in the no pile, and I still have this in the packaging because I'm probably going to declutter this. I'll probably resell this. I don't like this at all. I don't like this formula at all, which was wild. This is Viseart, which, as far as I can tell, like everyone loves, except for me. I don't think I've ever seen a negative review of Viseart, especially the formula. Like maybe people don't like the color story or whatever, but everyone unanimously loves the formula. I don't. These go on quite patchy on me, and there's no finessing that I can do to make them look less patchy, and they look chalky, and And I don't love this color story. It's actually a lot darker than I thought it would be. So I only can really use like this top row, and I don't really like this cafe color. It's a little bit dark. And then this pink color leans very peach on me, so I don't really like this as a cool tone color. This is a nice blue gray, but it's very deep, and I don't need that. I have other blue grays that I really like, but this whole thing is just like whatever. And these three, even though I like them like color wise, color story wise, the white is incredibly chalky and patchy on me. The pink, it goes on fine, but I don't like how it looks. It's just too peachy. And there is a little bit of chalkiness to it. The purple one or the violet one is actually fine. This is the only one in the palette that I would like consider keeping, but yeah, I'm not going to keep this whole thing just for that one shade. So yeah, um, this was a surprising purchase. This really didn't work out for me very well. And I'm still surprised about that. And that's kind of why I've kept this in here for so long, is I was just like, how do I not like Viseart? But I'm done. I'm done playing with it. I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. Okay, so let's go over here to, this is a Patrick Ta Duo, whatever these were. These were supposed to be the Pat McGrath special shade dupe things. I actually like this. Of the dupes that I've tried so far, this is probably the closest, and I really like this color, this kind of hot pink. In pan, it looks like it could go a little bit warm, but once I have it on my eyes, it truly is a more cool toned, hot, leaning berry pink. It's really nice. I like it a lot. I surprisingly like this rose gold too. It's not cool toned or anything, but it also doesn't run super warm on me. And it's quite wearable. I don't generally wear these together though, and I still don't understand the duo format. These should have been singles. These just absolutely should have been singles. But I think the formula is fine. I actually quite like it. I'll be keeping this. I hate the packaging though. It feels so cheap and ugh. But I'm keeping this. This is gonna stay in the available to me at all times drawer. Oh, and then Bobbi Brown. So Bobbi Brown, and if you can't tell, I've been trying to find like, you know, dupes or replacements for Pat McGrath special shade formulas, simply because there's a lot of colors that I wish that she had in that formula. And I tried this out from Bobbi Brown, and this is it called Starcrossed Lovers? Yeah, the Starcrossed Luxe eyeshadow quad. And I really disliked these. I thought these were kind of bad. Um, and I knew from reviews that these were going to have the same punch as Pat McGrath, so I wasn't expecting that. But I found these to be kind of hard to pick up, either with my finger or with a brush. And then I found them a little bit more difficult than Pat McGrath to like deposit on my eyelid and blend out. But the big thing, the really, really, really big thing for me is I just got massive fallout, especially from these two shades. Like, and don't get me wrong, I get fallout from Pat McGrath too, but it never gets in my eyes. Like, I can have it all over like my under eye area. Like, I can just have massive fallout from Pat McGrath, but it never gets in my eyes. These got in my eyes and were like super itchy. Um, yeah, and also they just didn't look that great to begin with. Like, they just don't have the same textural things that I like. Even though they are a baked formula, these feel different. These feel more like you know how you can have like dry baked formulas, and then Pat McGrath special shades are more of like a gel baked formula. Like, they're soft. Like when you put your finger in them and like rub it around, like product comes up very easily and it's very soft. And then if you get something like, um, man, I'm trying to think of a brand. Laura Geller, like a Laura Geller baked product, like those are harder. They don't have a softness to them. They're a little bit harder to pick up, or actually, they're a lot harder to pick up. And the feel of the product when you put your finger in is just, it feels like a rock. Whereas Pat McGrath's special shades have a lot of give to them. These are definitely more towards like feeling like little rocks. Um, and they just don't go on my skin the same way. They don't have the same like blurring effect, which honestly, since these don't have as much punch as Pat McGrath, I was expecting these to be even more cosmetically elegant and like more looking really nice on my skin and making my skin look nice and not highlighting like wrinkles in my eyelids and stuff. But these definitely um they didn't provide that. There was definitely texture add, which was a little bit sad for the amount of pigment and punch that these gave, which was very minimal. So I did not like these, and I am now no longer interested in Bobbi Brown's uh, baked formulas. So I mean, I'm happy I was able to get my hands on this because I don't think this ever released in the US, so I had to get the secondhand. And I'm happy I was able to try it out because I was really interested in Bobbi Brown's formula for a long time. A lot of people will say that this is a dupe for Pat McGrath special shades. I personally don't agree with that at all, and I will also be like decluttering this and like reselling this. But for right now, I'm gonna take this out of my box. All right, so what's next? So I have this little singles palette from Give Me Glow. Most things in here are from Give Me Glow. These two front ones I think are from Terra Moons. Overall, I'm absolutely going to keep this. I reach for this a lot because it has a white in here that I like to use underneath my Pat McGrath special shades. It helps kind of lighten up my lid so that the special shades don't darken my hooded eyes further. It's a really nice base. It goes on like a little tiny bit more chalky than I would like, but it's overall pretty easy to work with and looks really nice. I'm just being uh like I wish this was a little bit less chalky, but it looks fine. I think it's just a very pigmented white, and I kind of want something that goes on like a veil of white. But I also really like this really bright blue shade and this really bright pink shade. And I have this bright pink shade in the larger pan when they were making much larger pans. So I already knew that I liked this, but I reach for this a lot. These are just some matte form, or not necessarily the formula, but matte colors that I like a lot. And the formula is good. It's not like the most amazing thing ever, but it's very good and it's very easy to work with. It's one of those formulas that is like, it's very pigmented and you can sheer it out a lot. It takes a lot more effort than a Pat McGrath matte to sheer out though, and it's very easy to get like too much on your lid. So there's definitely a learning curve to this, and uh, I'm not the best learner when it comes to makeup. I kind of want my makeup to do the work for me, you know. But I really like this, and I will be absolutely keeping this available for myself. All right, so maybe before we get to the other palettes, I can go through these like single thingies. So this was from Give Me Glow. This is powdered Peri. I think this was meant to be a highlighter. I don't like it as a highlighter because it goes on just a little bit too chunky on my cheeks and on my lids. It's a very pretty color. It's a very beautiful like purple lilac, very light, really nice color, but there's just some textural things that I don't love, and the color's just not beautiful or interesting enough for me to choose to use it, even though it has those textural things. So this is a maybe. I don't hate this. I kind of like having this around, but I will be perfectly honest. I usually will reach for other things over this. So I'll keep it in the maybes, but it's probably going to be a no. Oh, maybe on that note for the lavenderish things. This is from Pat McGrath, one of her Chromaluxe um, pots or whatever these are called, in a Lilac Liaison. And I like this a lot. This is really nice. This has a really nice texture to it, has a really beautiful color to it. I really love this as like a one and done, like very subtle, beautiful color, or as kind of a base for other things. This is like, I really like having this around, so I'm going to keep that. And then I think same thing, yeah, this is Velvet Lavender from Bareminerals, and I don't know if you're going to be able to read that. This is a really pretty, like just dusty gray lavender color. This is probably my perfect color in terms of like a lightening shade for my eyelids. Like I said before, I have pretty hooded eyes, and so it's really nice to go on my lids with a really light color and help make my eyes look less shadowed, if that makes sense. So I like having this for that. I don't love the Bareminerals formula. It tends to crease fairly easily on my lids, so it's not great for my super oily lids, but I like the color a lot and it's very easy to reach for. So I'm going to be keeping this around until I run out of it. But for the other Bareminerals things, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these around. What are all these? So we have, so Classic Rock is like a silver color. I really haven't reached for this. I have other silvers that I like a lot better. Well Rested. Well Rested is good as a lightening color. And here, let me compare with, um, like you see how much more gray the Velvet Lavender is. I really appreciate that. And Well Rested is just very yellow on me. So I don't like that. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. And then which one is this? Soft Focus Linen. That one's always been very like promising to me, but I always reach for Velvet Lavender over it. Because even though it's brown, it's a very neutral brown, so I feel like it would work, but I think it's also like not quite lightening enough for my lids. I don't know. I go back and forth on this. I kind of want to use it a little bit more. I'll put it in the maybe pile. And then Classic Rock in the I will get rid of pile. And then Kaja. So I want to like Kaja, but I never like their color stories. So the reason I got this one was straight up just for this top color. I wanted like a lightening color to see how that works for Kaja and if the formula is good for that. This is just very yellow. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Well Rested. Well Rested is a little bit darker, but like you see how they're the same kind of vibe. They're the same kind of yellowiness. So I don't really love this. I'm probably going to take this out. And then this one, I like it, but I have other colors for all of these that I like better. Like this top one's a really beautiful, like icy blue topper thing, but I would absolutely reach for Pat McGrath over this, even though that particular Pat McGrath isn't here. And then this is a really pretty dusty blue, but honestly, I would like the bright blue in this better. And then the last one is just very dark. And it's a pretty color, don't get me wrong, but I don't usually use darker shadows. I just don't need them. I already have a lot of shadows in my eyes, so I'm gonna declutter that one as well. Or well, I'll keep them, but I'm taking them out of here for now. And then this one is from Clara Cosmetics. I thought I had another one. Oh, it's over here. I took it out while I was playing around with this. So these are both from Carla Cosmetics, I think. Yeah, these are both from Carla Cosmetics. And so this one is in Dreamer, this one is in Insomnia. These are one of those products, or two of those products, that they're very pretty. I like the colors. I like the idea of these, but I don't find them to uh, sit on the skin the way that I want them to. They still have that kind of look. I mean, it's very clear that it's just glitter on my skin. They don't meld with my skin really nicely. Neither one of these are particularly chunky, so I'm not saying that they're chunky glitter on my skin, but it's just like it's very clear that there's a product on top of my skin. And part of what I like about Pat McGrath's special shades is they really become like one with my skin. And it looks like my skin is glittery and sparkly and a beautiful color. Whereas things like this and a lot of, whatever indie brands that I've tried, and other dupe things that I've tried, is they just kind of sit on top of my skin and they have a really pretty color, but they don't have that specialness to them. They don't meld with my skin. They don't look one with my skin. So I like these. I use them. I don't reach for them very often. These are going to go in the maybe pile. I'm going to keep them around and stuff, but and especially this gel one, I need to figure out what to do with it because I think that these do dry out after a little while. But I wasn't super wild with them, even though I really do like the colors a lot. And then, okay, and I'm just going to be repeating myself. So this is from Spenny. I think I remember seeing this in someone's videos. They didn't have the product. They were like, oh, these are supposed to be a Pat McGrath dupe. And then I went out and bought it. It was very cheap. It was like, I think 10 bucks. And this is very pretty. It is kind of supposed to be, I have this out. Let me just show you. I think it's supposed to kind of be a dupe for Pat McGrath Astral White. And it does look a lot like it. Like if you just do a swatch of both of these, it's really hard to tell the difference. Not gonna lie. But again, like Pat McGrath's Astral White just sits a little bit nicer on my eyelid skin, and then this one kind of looks like it looks like a dupe of it. You know, it just doesn't have that kind of really beautiful like being part of my skin kind of effect. It looks like glitter on my skin. It's the same exact color as Astral White, even though I know it looks different in the pan. Like it goes on as if it's the same color. But it has some texture to it that I don't love. It looks a lot more glittery. Um, Not necessarily in the chunky way. Like it has the same particle size, but this just looks nicer on my skin. And this just looks, or actually, you know what this looks like? This looks exactly like this Clionadh color. And I wish I remember what this is called. But yeah, these have the same kind of texture, this like glitter multi-chrome. You know what, let me pop this out so I can like see what color it is. So this is Glow. That's the color. I don't know if it's gonna come into focus. But this is called Glow, and this looks exactly like the Spenny. These are both like dupes-ish for Pat McGrath's Astral White, but these have a much less nice formula. They just look like glitter on my skin. They're very pretty, but it's like chunky glitter on my skin. And I'm gonna take that out. They're very pretty, but they're just not quite the formula that I want. So I'm probably gonna end up decluttering this at some point. Let me take this one out so we can see what the color is, because I totally forget. Tessera. Okay, that's what this is called. Let me put it back in. I don't like messing around with these because I'm not very good at messing around with them. I just mess things up. You need to get better at this kind of thing though, because I do want to depot my Pat McGrath shadows at some point. Okay. All right, and then this last thing in here, this is the Pat McGrath, what is this called? Oh yeah, the Cyber Eye Gloss. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this. I did try this on my eyes once and it creased like crazy. I thought I would try to use this as like a lip product, but I just haven't gotten around to it, so I need to figure out what to do with this. I'm gonna put this in the maybe pile just simply because I need to figure out what to do with that before it dries out. Okay, so down to the big palettes. So this one I'm going to take out. I think I put this in here mostly because I really like the gray in here. And by the way, this is like an absolute disaster. This color like went everywhere. But I like this blue a lot, or blue, sorry, gray. It's a fairly cool toned gray, and I like it. And I kind of like playing with this color too, although it's usually very dark. I wish there was a lightning matte in here. Like I really wish that this black was like white or something, or like a very pale gray. That would just make this so much more useful for me. But I don't reach for this super much anymore. I do still want the gray in there, but I'm just going to put this away until I depot my Pat McGrath palettes. Because that's really the only color I really want out of here. Okay, and then this one, I kind of want to keep this one in here, but it's just such a waste of space. Because really the only color I use in here is Sterling. Now I love this. If I put this on like my lower lash line, like right in the middle where my eyelashes are. It just makes my eyes look very awake and sparkly, and just it looks really nice and it looks very natural. Because even though this is a very like very pigmented, very like shiny product, if you put it in like a really small area of your eyes, it just looks it's eye-catching, but then it looks natural if you put it in a small enough area. But I don't use anything else from this palette. I also really like how this palette looks. I mean, look at this. It's like the gold bar from Pat McGrath. So I kind of want to keep this, but I don't really know if I have room for it for like this one thing. So this is going to go in the maybe pile. We'll see if we have space for it. And then Natasha Denona Xenon. So I love this palette. This is like my neutral palette. Every other time I've tried a neutral palette, and by the way, I don't think this was ever sold as a neutral palette. I just think of this as a neutral palette for me because that's what it is. Because anytime I pick up an actual like advertised neutral palette, it's orange on me. Like I know everyone calls this a gray palette, and it is a gray palette, but neutral palettes are orange palettes to me. So I'm very happy to have picked this up and found this. And I think the reason that I like this so much, aside from the fact that it doesn't run orange on me, unlike so many other things, is I really like the light colored mattes in here. And I know in reviews a lot of people complained about those because they were like, oh, there isn't any differences between them. And there are only very subtle differences between them, but those subtle differences work really well for me. And they're really important for me. So I'm actually like actively trying to find like other like better formulas for me that have these three colors in them because I like them a lot. I'd probably also want Snert as well. Because as much as I like the color story of this, I actually don't love the Natasha Denona formula. I don't find it to be, it just doesn't work in the way that I want it to. I like formulas like Pat McGrath formulas where they are highly pigmented. You can kind of get the same color that's in the pan on your lid, and then you can also like sheer it out to a whisper of color, and it never becomes patchy. Natasha Denona is kind of the opposite of that. I kind of have to like dab on any of these colors and like place them on my lids, and maybe I can like blur the edges a little bit, but like that's all the blending I get. If I try to blend these things out in the way that I work with Pat McGrath mattes, or really any of her formulas, a lot of these go patchy or they just look weird and they just don't, it's just not how they work. But I love this color story, and so I'm going to be keeping this in here 100%. Yeah, we can just put it back where it was. Oh, and then I know this is from like the sidelines. I'm going to be putting this in. I'm going to be putting this in as well. I really do like this. This little 5 pan. I kind of wish that I had this little 5 pan in the large 5 pan format, because then I would like replace these two colors with some of the mattes from here. Maybe Natasha Denona will give us that someday. I hope she does. So I'm going to be adding this one in here as well. I like the colors here. All right, and then the last one here, before I start putting things in, is Wayne Goss, and I think that this was called Pearl Moonstone or something like that. I love this palette. I like the formulas in here a lot. My only gripe with this palette is that he has two like mid-tone grays and they do not look any different on my skin. I really wish that this slightly lighter one was a lot lighter. Like I wish it was like this color, but gray. I wish it was this level of lightness. I wish it was like a almost white gray. This would be my perfect palette, and I would probably only reach for this one if that was the case. Because right now this has like my favorite inner corner highlight. I really like this blue gray for if I ever like try to intensify my lash line in a soft way, or if I'm trying to have like a deepening crease color. This is the only black that I like in my collection, and I have multiple blacks from Pat McGrath. I have Natasha Denona's black. I don't like any of those. They don't work for me. for various reasons. They just don't work for me. I don't use them. This one I actually like. Now, I don't use black very often, and I usually only use it as like a liner for my eyes, but I just enjoy that I actually like this one. And then these two, they're not like really exciting formulas, but they're really solid and they're fun to use and they look really nice and they're easy to work with. All of these formulas for me are very easy to work with and I like it. I also like that all of these colors work for me. This is very much like the Natasha Denona Xenon palette in that every color in here is a color that I can use. I just really, really wish, like the Natasha Denona palette, it just had lighter colors in it. Like, you see how much deeper this color story is than this. I wish that this had some lightness in it. Like, if we could just take, like, Contrail or Blizzard or Flurry and just put it in here, that's what I would do. But I will probably be keeping this in here because I do like the formulas a lot. And this is kind of where I get like my grays from. Although I am gonna add this in here, so maybe I don't need it. There's a possibility I don't need it. So I'm gonna put it over here for now. I'm gonna keep it in, but I might not need it. Okay, so that's everything that I currently had in here, put into 3 piles that you can't really see most of. There are some things that I'm thinking of bringing in here. And so the first one is, what is this called? Dun, 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 dun. Fleur Fantasia. So this is the quad that has the really beautiful purple in it. And that's really the only color that I use in here. I do go for this pink sometimes, but it's not as cool toned as I was hoping. And it doesn't pair very well with this, in my opinion. It clashes a little bit. But I really love this color. This is beautiful. So I might bring this in here, especially if I'm taking out this powdered Peri color from Give Me Glow, because it's kind of the better version. I do like how light and bright this one is, but it just doesn't have the texture that I'm going for. So this I might pull in, maybe. It's just going to go like right between the yes and maybe piles. And then, let me see. I'm also going to maybe put in one of these. I have 2 of these palettes for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. But I do like the teal in here a lot. This is a really pretty color. But kind of the same thing as the other Pat McGrath quad is I don't really use any of these other colors. These 2 are just way too dark for me, and then this one is just a straight up gold, and it's not even an interesting gold. Like, I really love this color, so I might pull this one in. So I'm gonna put this in between the yes and maybe piles. And then, okay, so the last ones before I actually start putting things back in is I actually have 2 other Wayne Goss palettes. And a big part of the reason that I got these was the reason I was talking about earlier. This doesn't have any light colors in it. So I kind of thought about, okay, well, maybe I can go and get other palettes. So this is his Pearl palette. So Pearl Moonstone, Pearl, and then, oh, what is this one called? Smoky Quartz. And these 2 palettes have lighter colors in them. This one has this really nice light pink matte, and this one has this nice light bone matte. And I was kind of hoping that I could try these both out, maybe try the other colors in here as well, and maybe like create, eventually, like depot these and create like my perfect palette. And by the way, I ended up liking all of these palettes separately, so I don't know if I'm going to do that. Also, I don't think the undertones work between the different palettes. This one, Smoky Quartz, is very distinctly like I call this a neutral palette, in that it doesn't lean orange and it doesn't lean pink. And what annoys me a little bit is, to me at least, this bone color leans a little bit yellow. And so I don't like using it with the Pearl Moonstone palette because all of these colors have a very distinct blue undertone to them. except for the peach. The peach is just, it's transparent on the skin. It's just a sheen. There is no peachiness on my skin. Unless I like really try to build it up, and this isn't a color that you're supposed to build up, I don't think. But this color doesn't really go with this palette, so even if I could depot these, which these would not be easy to depot, or to depot, I don't think. And they don't go together. And then the same thing with Pearl. So I do like this palette. I do like Pearl, but this is like my warm tone palette. And so this pink has like a little bit of warmth to it. And it clashes again with this palette, and especially with this like blue toned gray. So these just don't go together. They're very nice as their own palette. Like all the colors within each palette go together really, really well, and I love using them. But they don't go to like together. So I think what I'm going to try to do is just have like one Wayne Goss palette in here at a time, because I can't tell the difference between them. And now that I'm saying that, I might kind of do the same thing with Pat McGrath quads. I might only go for one of them at a time because I can't tell the difference between them. So, but yeah, I like all of these. I'll probably be keeping all of these, but I wish I could mix and match the colors a little bit. But the undertones just, they're very distinct to each palette. Each palette goes together very well, but they don't go together as a set very well. So I'm probably going to have one of these, and I haven't decided which one yet. I'm going to just put these off to the side. All right, so putting stuff back in. Let's see what fits. Because what I'd really like to do is to not have things stacked up on one another. That was kind of annoying, to be perfectly honest. So let's put in all of my yeses. So this one, I think I'm going to put this one near the front because I do reach for this very, very often as sort of like a base for everything. And then I don't know what to do with this one. This one I don't reach for quite as often. I reach for Natasha Denona a lot. I put it like this. No. Okay, I'm not very good at this. I don't really know what I'm doing. All right, and then this one, maybe I can put it up here. Like that, and my singles, so I can keep these up front. I use both of these pretty often. And then what do I have then? So I have a bright pink, I have these colors, I have lots of grays, I have some bright matte colors and purples. You know what? I might go with smoky quartz. I might just keep smoky quartz out. If I can get this open. This is kind of the one downfall. I kind of like this packaging, but I really wish that it was magnetic. I might keep this one out. Because I already have a lot of grays, so even though I prefer Wayne Goss's formula to Natasha Denona, I prefer these color stories. And this would give me like a neutral, very neutral experience. And as much as I like Pearl, Pearl is just a little warm, and I don't usually reach for it. I have to be in a specific mood for this. Yeah, let's go with smoky quartz for right now. Right. So I have a little bit more space, and I can go with one of these Pat McGrath things. So we have Fleur Fantasia with that purple color, and then we have whatever this is called, Nocturnal something with the blue. Or really it's a teal. Or at least on me it's a teal. It's like the pigment in is blue, and then the reflect is like a green teal color. I feel like for my collection, the teal is a little bit more unique. And I want to say, if I really wanted like a purple, I do have these. They're not the same color. at all. Yeah, they're really not the same color, but they're like, they're purple. They're cool toned purpley things. Mm, but I like this, and I think that this layers really nicely with Lilac Liaison, and also just if I wanted to put it on top of the Velvet Lavender from Bareminerals. Oh, I don't know if I want to have both of these in here. Let's go with Nocturnal Nirvana, at least for now. I might swap them out later. And you know, if I rearranged things, I might be able to fit in my giant Pat McGrath gold bar. I might try to do that. Let's try to do that. Let's see if I can make that fit. I bet I can. Okay, this is a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. I think I might have to take something out. I don't want to. Uh, and something that I can do that I also don't really want to do is I know that this will fit like right here. Like I can push this up so you can see. Like this fits like right here. But then like every time I want like either one of these, it's kind of annoying to take it out. So I kind of want to just give the Pat McGrath like this space. Ugh, but now I don't know if everything's gonna fit in like a nice, easy to grab kind of way. I'm still gonna play with it. It's like everything can fit fairly easily, except I also have these singles that I really do want. And I really don't want to stack things. Oh, okay, so this is maybe a little bit more close in some areas than I would like, but I think everything has at least a little bit of breathing space. Okay, yeah. Ooh, okay, this makes me happy. This feels very organized. I can look at this. Look, nothing's stacked. Everything has its own spot. I don't think anything has to necessarily touch either. Everything has its own little space. Ooh, that makes me happy. I do wish that I had a bigger space like I used to so I could have like everything available to me. Because part of the reason that I have so much right now is I'm still figuring out exactly what I like. I have a pretty good idea at this point, but I'm still like, you know, looking at things and experimenting. But I think for right now, this is a really good collection because I have enough in here where I can make very neutral, like no makeup looks in the way that I like, and then I also have like my bright blues and my bright pinks for when I'm feeling a little bit more experimental and feel like being a little bit more colorful. And I think I got everything in here that I really wanted. Like I'm not looking at anything that I'm seeing in any of my piles and being like, oh no, what if I can't reach for that? I'm pretty happy with this. Nice. All right. So that was it. I hope this was entertaining. If you have any questions about any of the products or anything, please feel free to leave me a question below and I'll get to that when I can. Um, and thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.